Today's lecture is part two on a talk entitled How to Become a Better Person, Becoming Successful and Getting What You Want. These are my favorite lectures. They might not be the most popular ones, but those of you who are hustlers, those of you who are mentally healthy and want the best for yourself, you guys support these really well. So I appreciate you. As I go through, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to use the information below to engage me with those questions or send in tithes or anything else. I want to share some ideas, some of which may be new, some of which you may have heard before, but I want to make them a little bit brighter and also draw your attention to the critical data, if you will. When I was starting off in the tech industry as an entrepreneur, I was there during a time in which we talked about big data, which means huge information, huge data sets, a lot of information that has to be processed. And the idea was that if you can just get a lot of user data, you can monetize it, you can sell it. But in reality, I quickly realized it's not about big data, it's about critical data. You're not going to get every piece of data that you want from the consumer. What you have to focus on, what are those pieces of information that we can utilize? What are those pieces of information that are so critical that we can utilize that to convert a sale or to figure out the person's interests? Critical data. And what I'm telling you is that every time something seems too easy, it often is. Every time you hear something that's trending, you have to look a little bit deeper if you really would like to discover gold. The gold is not sitting on the surface of the land. You have to mine it. You have to dig in. So the wave was big data, but I figured out it was really critical data that allowed me to earn in the tech business. So what I'm telling you is that nothing is as easy as it appears from the outside. If you would like to have a high level of financial success, you're not going to get it by following what you hear in the mainstream. By the time information has reached the mainstream, it is not profitable. I knew that cryptocurrency was no longer going to be something that you can make a huge windfall on as soon as you start hearing everyday brainless, non-technical people talking about it. The moment you hear an average dirtball black guy claiming he's a day trader, you know that we're in funny times. And, the great irony is that when the economy seems to be stable or even on the uptick, everyone's talking about what buy they should have made or how they want to hurry up and invest in Bitcoin, etc. Those are the worst times to buy. And that's when you hear everyone talking about buying or they wish they would get in. Most recently, you've had Trump crash the markets globally. This is a great time to buy. You don't hear any optimism. You don't hear anyone talking about stock going on sale. I say that not to encourage you to buy stock, but to remind you of the fact that average people don't know what's going on till it's too late. That's why they're always saying, oh, I should have bought. They didn't buy it when it was actually time. So when I come on here and speak to you, I talk from the perspective of someone who's learned, of course, through study. I went to great universities, University of California, Berkeley, the Johns Hopkins University. I've been around those who are very wealthy and high ranking, be it high ranking in government or private industry. I've had unique opportunities, all of which I've earned, but also I've done it myself. You see, I have experience across various industries. I have significant interest in paper assets. So I'm telling you what I know. And often you guys miss out on opportunities that are right in front of you. And I want to encourage you to know that an opportunity is precious. So every opportunity that would come across your desk, if it makes sense for you, and all opportunities don't, I want to encourage you to seize it. Yes, seize that opportunity. For example, many of you were too foolish to follow me when I was doing my stock trading. However, just recently, I've been selling and I've had significant number of securities in my portfolio that I could sell, meaning they were up a significant amount. You guys may remember when Trump was coming into office, I said, you got to buy American steel companies. They're going to do well. What do you know? American steel is doing phenomenally. I've always told you guys there are certain industries I favor, like banks. I have one bank that I bought. It's up over 200%. That means I've more than doubled my money. I bought it as a penny stock. So you can imagine I got thousands of shares. I've done really well on it. But some of you guys could not endure tedium. You see, I can tell who's a hustler because hustlers can focus. You heard me? When that bag is at stake, when the money is what we're talking about, oh, they're paying close attention. It's those imbeciles who cannot endure boredom. They cannot focus. They don't want to take out the time to do what it takes to actually make the bag. They want to talk about the bag. They want to claim that they chase the bag, but they are unwilling to go through the paces to actually make some money. They come on YouTube looking to find some Abba and Preach style content so that they can have a chuckle. But they don't come onto YouTube asking themselves, okay, so I grew up in a country where the government doesn't care about me. I went to government schools, which are public schools. They didn't teach me how to earn. They didn't teach me how to do taxes. They didn't teach me the purpose of life. So I'm going to rely on that education to make myself a good life. That's foolish. I come onto YouTube every now and then saying, hey, how can I supplement the insufficient education that I got from parents, from public schools, and from the society? How can I get those secrets that are going to take me to the top? How can I better understand this human life? Because most people that talk to you are lying. For example, how is it that Grant Cardone is constantly on YouTube telling you real estate, real estate, real estate? Come by my course, come to my seminar. Well, if real estate is kicking that much butt, what is your true motivation for having seminars and all these conventions and all these YouTube online education if real estate is really killing it like that? And that's precisely why I have the Book of Dark Truths. I teach you about, well, why is Grant Cardone and Robert Kiyosaki writing all these books and talking about real estate while doing these other businesses with so much vigor? It's because real estate has huge levels of risk and huge levels of have you using leverage and debt, which can go left, especially with macroeconomic trends. Doesn't mean don't get into real estate, but understand that's correct, Chung. He's in the event business. He's not in the real estate business. Thank you. There's the Book of Dark Truths for those who really want to understand the truth of this world. So let's really talk about it. Now, you might say, Marquett, well, what drives you to do what you do? It's plain and clear. When you read my book called The Black Box, you hear that I came from the mud. I came from a place that was both financially impoverished, but also mentally impoverished. Yes. So there was a lack of knowledge where I came from. And as a result, I had a rough road. And so my goal is to make your road easier. Yes. In fact, I used to every now and then joke with the certain types of characters at the University of California, Berkeley. You see, every now and then I might engage one of these folks who, for some reason, thought they were better than I am. And I'd say, you know, your parents, you know, they're really remarkable people, aren't they? You know, your father is a judge in Southern California. Your mother's a professor. And when you were in high school, she was a tiger mom, helicopter mom, nourished you, kept you safe, and got all this extracurricular activity. You were doing robotics in high school. You're part of the debate club, and she'd take you to the Smithsonian Museum and really enrich you and give you extra tutoring and SAT prep. And here you are with me. You know, my mother was on crack. My father was in prison for selling crack. You can imagine how they met. It's not one of those great How I Met Your Mother stories, but isn't it ironic that, you know, my parents were down here, your parents were way up here, you got every bit of cultivation, I got none, and here we are still on the same level. Just imagine if I had your parents, I'd probably be the president of the world, not even of the United States, of the world. You see, I made it with nearly nothing, which just means I have a tremendous amount of hustle. I'm not a Gary V kind of personality that comes on and says, oh, I came from nothing. By nothing, do you mean your father had a thriving business? By nothing, do you mean you had a nuclear family with two great parents? By nothing, what exactly do you mean? You came from a strong culture that valued education? By nothing, what do you mean that your parents were wealthy enough to leave a country and travel overseas and come to this land of opportunity? What do you mean by nothing? Because when I say by nothing, I mean, you know, recurrent homelessness. I mean, Section 8. I mean, food stamps. I mean, homeless shelters. That's what I mean when I say nothing. Just today, a young lady asked me, she says, you know, as a poor person, when you were growing up as a child, what is the worst poor person meal you had? I said, well, I'd have to say the worst poor person meal is not having a meal. It's like having nothing to eat. That was the worst meal I ever had. You know what it tastes like? It tastes like nothing. Which is a reflection of what you have in your pockets. Nothing. It's a reflection of the amount of furniture you have in your empty studio Section 8 apartment. None. You're sitting on the floor. It's utter denial of the basics of, you know, human existence, or should I say in the developed world. So I say all that to say this. If you were curious on hers was her poor person meal was rice and ketchup, which I surmise tastes a lot better than air. Now, I say all that to say this. When I come on here to teach you, I'm trying to teach you about those things that I know are tried and true, those things that are small changes. If you apply them consistently, it'll take you straight to the top. I realize there's an infinite amount of things I could say. I'm trying to speak to the things that will be universally applicable, things that everyone watching me right now can do today and start to see results. And I never lie to you and give you fake narratives that will eventually hurt you. I'll give you an example just earlier today, and I won't name any names, but I was listening to a podcast that was posted some time ago. There was one individual who essentially spent an entire hour on a podcast telling you, the audience, how to scam. He was trying to explain how to clean up your credit without actually going through the hard paces of being fiscally responsible. So he's telling you how to clean up your credit so that you could get access to more credit. And why do you want access to more credit? So that you can get cars you don't deserve, so that you can afford things that you can't afford. And when he teaches you how to basically defraud the system, scam the system, and you get access to a huge amount of credit, then you can go buy your Lambo, or you can go, buy X, Y, and Z, or you can get a personal loan. But what he never talks about is if you teach a low-income person who has a track record of being irresponsible how to get access to more capital, all you've done is give them more rope to hang themselves with. What you fail to do is teach them how to do a product-based business. What you fail to do is teach them how to be financially responsible enough that with access to more capital, they can be a good steward of the capital. Oppositely, you hear me all the time. I speak ill of credit. Don't use it. It's bad. I don't care how many frequent flyer miles they give you on Delta. Don't use it. It's a setup, dummy. Just like casinos. I explained to you, people want to call it, the matrix, but they never elaborate on that because they're of limited understanding and they're repeating what they've heard from other people. There was a story that came out just this week. There's a young man who had figured out how to engage in what's called advantage play at the casino. He goes to a number of casinos, places a significant number of bets, often in small denominations, as to go under the radar. He won about $400,000 and the casinos refused to pay him out. Why? They refused to pay him out because of the simple fact that he clearly was an advantage player, which is to say he did enough study to figure out. You can set the food right there. I appreciate it, on the red table. He did enough study, which again, tedium, enduring boredom. He did enough study to figure out how to win. Yes, it requires practice, boredom. And when he figured out how to win, the casino didn't pay him out. So what did he have to do? He went to your corrupt government courts. And in those courts, he sued them and said, they owe me money. Every time I lose, they take my money. When I win, why don't they have to pay? And guess who the court sided with? Big business. That's who the court sided with, huh? And I've heard of more things like that because I used to live in Saint City, Las Vegas for half a decade. Yes, there was a time that someone won on a slot machine, and then the casino said that slot machine was having a malfunction. It was a bug, and they refused to pay out that $500,000. And who did the court side with? The casino. Now, here's the funny thing. On the slot machine, it says, we will void wins if it's a result of a malfunction. Well, how do you know it's a result of a malfunction? How come none of our losses are ever a result of a malfunction? How many losses have you refunded as a result of malfunctions? And you know what the casino had the nerve to offer that person who actually did win and the casino claimed it was a malfunction? They offered them a free steak dinner in place of $500,000. So I say that you pay all these taxes to the courts, to the government, and they do not do anything for you. People on the internet, they speak of the matrix, but can't rightly describe it because they're not intelligent enough. Yes. For example, you ever notice that if a business has your credit card information and they want to bill you, they can bill you once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times instantly. But if they've wrongly billed you, if they've double billed you, if they've taken money from you, you got to go through an appeal process, which can be lengthy, difficult, and often ends in you not winning the appeal. So why is it that business can take your money with ease, but for you to get it back is so difficult? You should wonder about that. You see, the matrix exists at a different level in different societies. In the United States, there are very few consumer protections. That's why you eat food that's processed. You eat food that is just utterly deficient in terms of vitamins and much else. Conversely, and also if you go to the airport and you have a scheduled flight and the flight is delayed or canceled or rescheduled, they can just have you sleep in the airport for 16 hours and they don't have to reimburse you a thing. Conversely, in the European Union, they have consumer protections in aviation. And so if it's delayed more than a certain number of hours, they're legally required to reimburse your flight if you so choose. You don't have that in the United States. That's the matrix. They're both matrix, but one is more vicious. Yes. So what I'm pointing out to you are the specific things by which you can know that the matrix is real. But the real question for you is, what are you doing? Do you only speak of the matrix like the infinite number of YouTubers? Or are you actually a part of a movement, which is what the assassin is? Are you actually a revolutionary, which is what we build and teach? That's why we have organization. This has been the case ever since I came in the door. But one thing I tell you is always get your bread right. Having money is a critical thing. That's why I'm on here teaching you this, how to become a better person, how to become more successful, how to get what you want. Many of the things you want may be money directly or money indirectly. That's why I speak about it. And you might say, well, what does that have to do with becoming a better person? Well, the truth is that it doesn't mean that wealthy people are better than people who are less wealthy in every case. But I'd say if you took 100 multimillionaires and 100 paupers or 100 homeless people, I guess the multimillionaires would probably be better people. And the fact is that you do have to develop yourself because we all have 24 hours in a day. What did you do with yours? We all probably need to sleep about 8 hours. Some of us sleep less. Most of us sleep 8, 9. What did you do? How did you order your day? These are the things we want to talk about today. May I encourage you to send in your comments, questions. And by the way, this can be a long one. This one can be a short one. I do have a hard stop at one point. If you guys want to support it, I'll kick the game because I got it fully loaded. Shout out to Mr. Santos supporting the work. Appreciate you. May I also acknowledge Rivington. He writes, greetings, Saint. I'm having a hard time making a decision. Okay. I make really good decisions and really quick decisions for the most part. It's actually quite rare that I need time to make a decision. And mind you, that is a skill. I would also like to let everyone know that sometimes it's better to make a quick decision than the right decision. Understand this. Sometimes if you take too long to make a decision, that makes it into the wrong decision. Furthermore, even if you make the wrong decision, you can turn it into the right decision. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. You can ask me for an elaboration if you need one. The gentleman writes, I got a job offer at a new dealership making twice my income. I hope that's in base salary, not in commissions and bonuses. He writes, but I would be giving up a good company culture and people I can trust. What would you do? Well, Rivington, it depends on your context, you see, and what's most critical. That's why in the last session under the same title, we started off asking, what is the purpose of your life? Yes, your life. What is the trajectory of a man? You see, if you do have children, maybe the dollars are more important. You go to work, lock in, knock out the work, come home. You have twice as much income for the same 8 hours of labor. That's probably a win if you have a growing family. If your personal happiness and you're comfortable in this particular place and maybe you want to stay there over the long term because you're 50 years old, then yeah, I say stay there. But if you are as young as you appear to be in this photograph, get your money, man. Quit playing games, Brody. Listen, I don't know if you want to die working at a car dealership. If you do, man, then I'd say stay at the one that gives you the highest quality of life and the most happiness. However, if you have a plan that involves you making a significant amount of income or advancing, or you'd like to have some discretionary income that you can use to invest in the stock market or anything else, then let's go ahead and make a move. Yeah, I mean, come on now. And at the end of the day, I want everyone to know if you're standing in the same place for too long, it's probably not a good look. People, places, positions. It's extraordinary what a change in environment can do for your productivity. I'll give you an example. Since I know you all like to talk about women, let's talk women. In the United States, you might use Tinder and you might get a 3% match rate. Then maybe you go over to Eastern Europe, same person, same photo, same everything. Now, all of a sudden, you're at a 20% match rate. You're a black guy in Eastern Europe, you get a 20% match rate. Then you go to Africa. Now you start getting a 40% match rate. Are you different? No, the environment is different. Maybe the women in America are unrealistic, or maybe they are realistic and Tinder in America is compromised because it's a high income consumer. Maybe there's more bots, there's more spam, there's more hackers on the American Tinder. You went to Eastern Europe and then you started getting a better match rate. Maybe it's because you're exotic there, and maybe that pays. Then you get to Africa, you go up to a 40% match rate. Maybe it's because they're black, you're black, and black women prefer black guys. And so you just have a higher number of women that prefer you. What I'm telling you is that environment changed your outcomes. It was not you doing something smarter. Sometimes it's not about what you're doing. It's not even about how you're doing. It's about where you're doing it. So you're talking about changing environment and getting twice the money. To me, that sounds like a win if you want to win. But understand this, money's not always the win. But if you're a young man, it probably is. So that's one of the things I talk about in this book, The Black Box. You know, when do you need to be focused on giving back? When do you need to be focused on taking in for yourself? Your foci change based on the stage of life that you're in. Come on now. Let's work. And by the way, when you say people I can trust for what? What do you are you sharing your secrets with your colleagues? Trust to do what? Not to cheat you? Like, what are you referring to? So if you're going in thinking everyone at your job is your friend, or you're trying to make them your friend, you've already screwed up. It's about the money. Keep it about the money. If you go in there every single day asking, how can I make the most money possible today? Trust me, you're going to do well. If you go in there every day asking like, oh, I don't get along with Johnny, or I wonder what BS Sally's going to hit me with, or I don't like my boss, forget all that. You go in there saying, hey, I'm about to clock in for 8 hours of intense work to make myself as much money as possible because I need this money for X, Y, and Z. And on the path to making my money, if that requires me to ignore the silly things that my colleague says, or to ignore the passive aggression of my female coworker, or to, kiss the butt of my boss, that's what's about to happen for the next 8 hours. And it's not about humbling yourself. You don't even need to be humble to do that. You need to be smart and strategic. Shout out to Michael supporting the work. Appreciate you. And shout out to the ballers. Shout out to Brian Wrights, Peace of the Saints for the freeloaders. Oh, yes. Ain't it wild? It's funny. You know you're good when people watch you and be hating on you at the same damn time. It's extraordinary. But at the end of the day, we are a rare breed. Appreciate you, Brian. Shout out to Tadek supporting the work. May I also acknowledge Jay. He writes, quote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, end quote. Carl Jung. Appreciate the game you're dropping and how you're teaching us to reframe our thoughts. Yes, good thinking may lead to effective action. But I promise you, negative thinking, foolish thinking will surely not profit you one penny. Shout out to Nick, writes, Peace of the Saints, appreciate the game. I'm glad you appreciate the game. And shout out to those who also appreciate the game. Maybe they hit the like button. Maybe they use the information below to support the work. I do appreciate each and every one of you. May I acknowledge Mr. Gardner came in via PayPal, writes, Peace to the Saints tuition. Shout out to Darren, came in writing tuition, Peace to the Saints. And Darren always is supporting the more intelligent live streams. Victor writes, hi, Saint, I think I'm ready for your product course. How much money should I allocate for this? For the course or for the endeavor? The course is literally called How to Start a Product-Based Business with $500 or Less. That's what it's called. So in the title of it, it tells you how much you should allocate. So you can get going with $500 or less. You are in unique times right now with the tariff war, but let me tell you all something about unique times. Sometimes it's unique times and sometimes it's not really unique times because nothing has changed under the sun. The world has always been one in which you have to adapt to thrive. You have to innovate to win. That's not new. The world has always been one in which power is being tested, reaffirmed, and shifting. That's nothing new. If you figure out how to think and how to be appropriately ruthless, you will win. And also to have a team around you and people who really love you and mess with you. That's precisely why we have the SaaS, and to make sure that you are supported. For example, today I'm doing some moving, right? I dropped in the Discord for this section. I said, hey, guys, I need to move. Guys responded, hey, we're with you. We're going to come through and help you. That's love. That's what family does. And I would hope that anyone within the SaaS and ask something of you, you would give it freely. And that is why our community is so rich. It's the true wealth, the wealth of people. You often hear fools speak about building an empire, and what they're really talking about is accumulating wealth. But in actual fact, empires are composed of people. People. That's what makes something an empire. It's people. It's not the money. It's not the dollars. Anyways, the gentleman writes, listening to you brings me back to reality. Thank you for that. Oh, yeah, man. You got to stick with reality. You have to learn to love it and make it better. That is the key to success. I promise you. Shout out to Travis, who asked for this part 2 via Venmo. Appreciate you supporting the work as well. A lot of people who say thanks, a lot of people who say that they love the work, but those who show it are the ones that we really know is real, right? Because we got a lot of fakers and fronters on the planet Earth, right? We know that. And if I didn't say it already, shout out to Nick, and shout out to all the folks who are leaders within this thing of ours. There are a couple of things that are going to make you, or rather allow you to ascend and outperform other men. One of which is your ability to master the morning, especially if you are an entrepreneur, if you have employees, if you have people volunteering with you, if you have people operating on your behalf. If you can figure out how to master the morning, which is to say how to start, you will thrive. Marquett, why is the start so important? I thought it's all about closing. I thought it's all about finishing. Yes, that's true. The close is critical, but guess what? If you don't get started, you got nothing. Starting is actually the hardest part of anything. In my previous business, where we did real-time indoor location services and apply that technology to attendance, our slogan was, showing up is half the battle. Showing up is half the battle. By the way, if you have any questions for me, you can use the information below to send in your questions. So sometimes showing up is half the battle. And let me tell you guys something funny. Most people don't even show up. You hear me? They don't show up. Or they show up late just to let you know subconsciously they're not serious. Recently, there was a woman that had messaged me. I told this story to some of the saints who were with me last Saturday doing a workout. She messaged me and she said, hey, I'm interested in you. What would you say if I told you I wanted to be yours? I said, send your age, send a few photos. She sends her age, sends a few photos. Age was not quite where it should be. The photos were acceptable. And we engaged in a little bit of conversation. And she said, hey, let me message you tomorrow. I'm actually here with my family. I think it was a holiday of some sort. And then I immediately archived her. Marquette, why did you archive her? Why wouldn't I? Of course I archived her, because is your aunt, is your mother, is your cousin, are they going to marry you? Are they going to provide for you for the rest of your life? I'm the greatest opportunity you want to ever access. That's why you reached out to me. I don't need you. I didn't reach out to you. You reached out to me for good reason. And I can tell that you do not respect the opportunity, so I will not give it to you. Archived her. She's gone. Why? Because there's going to be 10 more chicks within the week that's going to reach out with the exact same story. And probably some of them will be better qualified, younger, more attractive, and more ambitious, more serious. You can tell that someone either A, doesn't think they're going to win, or B, they've lost too many times. A, they don't think they can win, or B, they've lost too many times. They're not serious. In other words, when you pursue success in this world, you must be serious. You must convey it. You have to convey it first to yourself, and secondly, to those from whom you would seek an opportunity. If that seriousness is lacking, I promise you a real hustler will sense it immediately. Shout out to Raymond. It should be Raymond. Ramon, or it could be Raymond. Let me know. He writes, tuition, teach, Saint. Sir, yes, sir. Now it's acknowledged via PayPal. Shout out to Dominic supporting the work. He writes, I was reviewing Boston University. Good information. It's worth reapplying. Thank you, St. Brian and Travis, for covering my tuition piece of the Saints. Yes, indeed. And you're very wise, Dominic, because it's not enough to hear the right thing or to learn the right thing. You have to review it and you have to apply it. So you're very, very wise in that. You will benefit greatly. It's those of us that can manage the details. It's those of us that are willing to do it until we get it correct. It's those of us who are willing to be embarrassed. It's those of us who are willing to look bad. I was just sharing earlier, in fact, with a young lady that one time I was in Vegas. I can't remember what the exact situation was, but my assistant was saying, hey, Marquette, like you should do this instead of this because, you know, like people be like making up stuff about you saying that you're broke. Like, no, do this instead of this. Maybe it was like she was saying like, hey, you know, take the Rolls Royce instead of the SUV, you know, because you're going to be seen by other people in public or something. So like, don't drive the SUV. Maybe that's what it was, something like that. And I said, I don't care what people think. And you would think after 6 years, she would know that. But I think, you know, for an everyday person, just the amount of hate, because she actually knows who I am, seeing people lie about me when she knows the truth, I think it just takes a toll on her. But what she didn't realize is I don't care what strangers think about me. And this is why I'm able to be effective in business and ruthless and with women, because when I engage a woman, no matter how beautiful she is, I never get confused with the idea that her beauty is mine. Like I've captured her beauty. I never think about what we could be. I never get, fooled into the idea of like, oh, we would look good together. No, you've done nothing to me. You're nothing for me. You're a stranger. You're probably dumb in all likelihood. So why would I be smitten with you? You've not proved a thing. You're deluded in all likelihood. So no, I'm not impressed. And you get no kudos out here. You start from negative 300 with me. You heard me? Yeah, you have to earn me treating you like a human being because I'm assuming you're unworthy. Whereas most males show up groveling. They show up looking at the girl in awe. It's completely the opposite. Everything is a negotiation process. Life involves endless struggle. The only question is, can you enjoy the war? Shout out to Scuba Steve supporting the work, right? The big homie Marco came in as well. Shout out to Chuckles, right? New to the ism. I'm not one with abundance just yet, and I'd like to contribute more. But hey, in a few months, let's see what happens after ism. Peace of the saints. Well, Chuckles, you're already in a good situation. I'll tell you why. Because you want to use the word abundance. I personally know people worth many millions, and I do mean many millions, and they're not new to money. They've been in money for a while, money that they earned, money that they were born into, and they still do not feel abundance. I have a personal friend. I'm not going to name his name, but I have a personal friend who's the cheapest, most parsimonious individual you would ever want to encounter. And what I'm telling you is that abundance is an idea that you hold on to. Abundance is the certainty that you can recreate. Yes, recreate opportunity, recreate money. That's what abundance is. Abundance is not a number of dollars in your account. So just the idea that you're giving of your surplus, however little that may be, what that signals in your mind is that you have enough to give. And when you exist on that reality, you will be able to recreate and build on that reality, not living from scarcity. Because one thing I notice about people who are never going to be successful, they're never willing to invest. They're not willing to invest in themselves. They won't invest in a relationship. They won't invest in making their name known. They won't invest in marketing. They think that everything just happens and they have bad luck. No, that's not the case. It's that you're miserly. It's that you're not a hustler. You're not a risk taker, and you live with a poor person's mindset, and your pockets will forever reflect that. Terlonius writes, peace of the saints. I want to visit Egypt for my birthday in December. I don't recommend it. He writes, I see you've been there already on the thumbnail. Is it worth going to see the pyramids? The pyramids are, decent, but of all the wonders of the world that I've seen, which have been many, the Great Wall of China and all this stuff, the pyramids are pretty cool, but the experience in Cairo, Egypt is the very worst experience I've had around the world. And you have to remember, I've been to more countries than you would want me to sit here and name. I've been to a lot. It was the very worst. I don't recommend it. He writes, much respect, MDB. I appreciate you. I'm wishing you much fun and joy in your travels. Dan writes, Marquett, thank you. Replied back to a total stranger and gave him a bit of support when he really needed it. You are definitely a real one. Peace of the saints. Absolutely. And thank you for that commendation. Mr. Santos comes back. He writes, invaluable lesson. Exactly what I need. Peace of the saints. Yes, is what we all need, in fact. There's not, I should not have said anything. If I spoke for more than 30 seconds on this live, you should have heard something that applied to you. If you are a human being who wants to move this way in life, meaning up. Shout out to the preneur, TK the preneur writes, peace of the saints, SoCal section. Shout out to the saints, shout out to the SoCal section. Shout out to Chris, the executive over there. Shout out to Mr. Chima supporting the work. Shout out to the saints all around the world. And I also acknowledge, he writes, my name pronounced like there's an E at the end, Mr. Burton. That'd be Ramon. Hey, I never claimed to be the brightest star in the sky. He writes, I was looking forward to speaking to you at the new member orientation. Hopefully I'm able to attend the big game conference. Peace of the saints. Yes, indeed. That would be, it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure for me to meet the saints. And for those of you who have been a part of this thing of ours for some time, I make every effort to spend time. Especially if you're in the local section, you guys will always hear me saying, hey, come have dinner with me. Hey, let's let's go on a jog, let's do this, let's hit the mall, let's go out for dinner. And none of this stuff is at any cost. Once you join this thing of ours, we have a tremendous number of member benefits, and people really get huge levels of value out of this. And the goal is community, and we've been very effective at that. So we invite all of you to join this thing of ours. In fact, within 48 hours will be new member orientation on May 1st at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So once you join, you'll see the information on your member website. Shout out to Michael supporting the work, came in via PayPal. Now, I also acknowledge Mr. Malave supporting the work as well. Good to see you. Shout out to the ATL section. Shout out to the executive out here, St. Key. Carrying on, I got a lot of game for you guys. I'm gonna give you a little bit of time to send in your comments, questions. I already got my notes queued up. I just know that this will be just a touch more meaningful for you. I want you guys to think about this. I'm just going to step away for a moment. I want you to think about the following and send in your questions with regards to the following thing. Ask yourself this. Number one, where do I get stuck? Where do I get stuck? When I'm trying to study, when I'm trying to work hard, when I'm trying to apply for a new job, when I want to go talk to the woman, where do I get stuck? That's number one thing. Ask me something about that for your own good. And then the second piece is, what's bothering me? What's bothering me? You're probably anxious about something. There's something that's making you unhappy. There's something that you want to change. Those are the starting points for turning around your life, getting the higher paying job, getting the more beautiful spouse, getting the better quality of friends. That's where you turn things around, because if something's bothering you, it's your subconscious letting you know, screaming at you, maybe in a muffled scream, this is not right. You're going down the wrong direction. You have to be able to consciously address that which is subconscious, per the gentleman's quotation earlier from the great Jung. Oh, in case you didn't know, it's hustle mania. It's hustle mania. Shout out to Fox writes, brightest star in the sky. I'd say you're something quite more interesting, like a rose who grew through the concrete. Marquett, peace. I appreciate that. And it's Hustle Mania 13. And one thing I tell you about Marquett Burton, man, and listen, you can ask moms too, man. I've been hustling since hustling. Yes, indeed. I'm really that. And in fact, a young lady had mentioned someone a few weeks ago. She had mentioned someone in some particular endeavor. And she says, oh, well, you know, this person is a baseball player. I said, whoa. I was like, don't think of them as a baseball player. She was like, they play baseball. I was like, no. They're just, that's their hustle. This man is a money getter. That's just one type of hustle that he can execute on. If I could play baseball, I play baseball and make money at it. But I don't play baseball at that level. I'm a hustler who's going to make money doing the things that I can do. Just as anyone who's at the high level is making money doing things that they can do. That doesn't necessarily mean he is a baseball player because he's playing baseball. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that might not be his soul. That may merely be how he's keeping the lights on or how he's bringing in the multi-millions. For example, when I was a youngster, I really used to enjoy public speaking. Number one, because I'm better at it than everyone else. And number two, when you're young and immature, you do suffer levels of narcissism. And who doesn't want the attention and the spotlight? You do something at a world-class level, and then all these adults come up to you afterward and like, oh, you speak so well. Who doesn't like that? As I matured, I didn't like it at all. One, because I felt like no one could mess with me. And it was almost like not even fun because I already know how it was going to go. And more importantly, it felt easy. I would go on stage. I didn't feel the butterflies. I didn't feel the nervousness. It was easy and it was less interesting, and it was still paying really well. And in fact, over time, it was paying better and better and better. But I was asking myself, oh, maybe I should try stand-up comedy. That seems pretty hard. Or maybe I should do this, or I'm interested in building a software company. Now, I continued to do public speaking, but it was no longer a passion, but it was something I was very good at. Would I call myself a public speaker? Well, I'm certainly a master of public speaking, but it was not my soul any longer. It was not my soul any longer. That's why one thing I really enjoy, if you guys have ever done a consultation with me, I don't even think you can book it on thesassin.com because I didn't renew the little service that I used to book them. But if you've ever booked a consultation with me, you'll see the energy is just through the roof. It doesn't matter what time of day we're talking, where I am in the world. It could be 2 a.m. in in Albania and I'm in Tirana, the energy is through the roof, because what I started to love a lot more than public speaking, I started to love the idea of looking at someone's life as a puzzle with all the pieces scattered. But I know everything you need to win is already right there. You don't know where to put the pieces, but the pieces are there. You're not missing anything. Everything you need, everything you want is inside of you. You are everything. The whole universe is inside of you. You just must rearrange some things. You got to take a little bit of time and effort, and you'd do better if you had someone there that would provide you with certainty. I know you have everything that you need. I know because I've seen you win a million times. I used to be a teacher. I've seen children blossom and transform. I've run many companies. I've taken a person who was a sandwich artist at Subway and made them into a high earning business development employee. I can see talent. I've seen people bring the best out of themselves. I know it's there. So someone like me, I can give you certainty because I know you might be 20. Hell, you might be 40. And you never seen someone go from nothing to something. I know. So I'll give you certainty. And if you're on the wrong path, I'll tell you honestly, like, hey, you're messing up right now. You need to change strategies right now. You need to trade in those friends. Hey, that family member, that's the wrong person to be around. You need to move out. Or, hey, you need to stay. You try to move out. No, stay in your parents' house. You ain't got enough money to move out. I'll tell you. And the reason is, when I do a consultation with you, some people I've done consultations with over time. But when I'm doing a consultation with you, I'm not interested in ensuring the next consultation. This is why the pseudoscience of therapy is so bogus. They have you in therapy for 30 years and you're still, completely dysfunctional afterward. They're trying to ensure that you keep coming. They can't heal you. And if they could, they wouldn't. When I encounter you in a consultation, my goal is to say, how can I get you to where you want to be as quickly as possible? And how can I meet more people like you and have my name associated with their wins and their successes? That makes me happy, to make millionaires, to make people successful, to get people to the next level. So I might enjoy our consultation, but I don't necessarily feel like I need to talk to you again. Maybe when you come back and say, hey, man, I implemented this and this and this and this. Look where I am. Or, hey, man, everything fell apart. I'm broke down. Fix it up again. Let's really talk when there's meaning. There have been people who do consultations. I tell them, hey, you're done. I need to see something from you. Don't come back until you got something to show me, something that's interesting for both of us. You're rarely going to experience someone who, he said it expired to book. Yeah, I got to get that fixed. Maybe I'll get that fixed so people can book consultations. For now, there's a membership on Patreon. I think if you get the highest tier membership, it gives you like a 40-minute consultation. It's way underpriced. I am going to change that. Eventually, I'll get all this stuff together. I've been terribly busy. But my goal is to accelerate you. And to be honest with you, I highly doubt that anyone talks to their therapist and their therapist looks them in their eyes and say, hey, you know what? You're a BSer. You're BSing yourself and you're not being real with yourself. You're the problem. Well, but what are you talking about? Like, my mom is verbally abusive and my dad's an alcoholic. Yeah, but you're 25. Move out if they're that bad. Move out. Problem solved. They're not being real with you, huh? They're not being real. You go to your pastor. Will they tell you, oh, I'm going to pray for you? Read Leviticus. It'll make you feel better. Well, is Leviticus going to come down here? Like, where is bro at? Tell Leviticus to come down here and help me out, because I didn't read the book and it wasn't talking about me. Come on now. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with talking to someone who is expert in whatever your pursuit is, or sometimes just expert in managing life, which means managing your emotions. It means being able to reroute, and they can give you the confidence and the certainty because they can look in you and see the goods. Or B, they can give you the strategy. They can critique your strategy or your mindset. I'll tell you the dumbest thing I've ever said in my entire life. It's so embarrassing, honestly. You might hear it and think it's noble, but it's the most idiotic thing I've ever said. I've heard people say it from time to time. The most idiotic thing I've ever said in my entire life. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was in a cohort of scholars who had earned a merit-based research scholarship, and the very successful older, wealthy investment banker had come in to see the individuals at Berkeley that he had invested in. And so this gentleman, whose name I won't say right now, he came into the room and we all got a chance to have a one-on-one conversation with this wildly successful gentleman. And the first words out of my mouth were utterly idiotic. I said, I want to save the world. And he says, okay, well, what about if you just maybe like do one good thing that'll help a community or help someone you know? I was like, no, I got to go big. I got to save the world. And he was like, okay, well, you could, start smaller than that. Now I talk to you guys about what? Simplicity and oneness. Now, mind you, this guy was so filthy rich. He used to give microloans to women in Vietnam, mostly farmers. And he was very successful at that. And he had enough money to really do things at the scale of a country. And so I'm a broke, inexperienced youth talking to a very wealthy iBanker saying, I want to save the world. I mean, really, I probably should have been caught in the parking lot and beaten within an inch of my life for that level of stupidity. But that's what you suffer when you come up in these public schools and you come up with your parents who know little more than you do. The fact of the matter is you think that people are becoming more knowledgeable and more mature with time. They're not. They're often just learning ways to conceal their deficiencies. And they're not becoming more intelligent or more mature, sophisticated. They're just finding better ways to conceal their frailty. People are extraordinarily dysfunctional. I can't tell you how often, women will try to, insert themselves into my life. And then I just observe them for a moment. I'm like, wow, you have no emotional control, or you're a hothead. You're an angry woman, or you're a lazy woman. You don't even want to clean up after yourself, or you have no ambition. It's just like the pretend that they can only maintain the veneer for a short time. And then I see like, oh, like you don't want to contribute, or you have to be told to do something. You don't take the initiative, and you're like in your mid to late 20s. So it's kind of late for you to not have that skill already. And mind you, folks, you're here with me for the truth. You hear me? You're here for the truth, a double dose of it. Because guess what? People out there lying in the world. Recently, Zudor put up a short of me saying that, I was dealing with this woman. She had discoloration on her bottom lip. If you're black, you've seen the smoker lip. It's kind of like pigmented. It's really disgusting looking, especially on a female. I said, hey, you smoke? She says, well, yeah, I used to. Now, mind you, she's a hijabi, and all she's doing all night is virtue signaling. And in my head, I'm like, okay, you're done. We're done here. And then people in the comments are like, why are you judging? Yeah, I am judging. I am. Absolutely. That's not right. No, it's perfectly right for me. Why should I, who have never smoked anything, deal with a woman who used to be a smoker? That's not right. Maybe you're a stoner. Go deal with a stoner broad. You used to be a stoner. Go deal with a broad who used to be a stoner. I've never done that, so I don't want to deal with it. You heard me? That's just like, I don't have any kids. I don't want to deal with a single mom. You heard me? Like, maybe if you're a single dad, go deal with a single mom, but don't get mad at me for not wanting to deal with it. Why? Because I have standards. That's number one. And number two, because of what? Might be good enough for you. It's not good enough for me. I have standards. But what you won't admit is that that's a low behavior. And the reason you won't admit that's a low behavior is because you're doing it. You're engaging in it. So what I'm telling you guys is that we have a world where people will lie and say that which is bad is good because they are doing it. They try to tell you that marijuana, people use this for PTSD and they use it for chronic pain and this and that. They also use it to cope because they're mentally ill and they won't deal with their true demons. The overwhelming majority of people did not just get home from Iraq and they're dealing with PTSD. The majority of people are using it recreationally. Let's be honest. Well, I'm the only one being honest because everyone else is lying. And they're so passionate about their lies. I speak against marijuana. It's just a shocking number of people that seem to be so angry in the chat. Why? Because your government told you that marijuana is medicine. Ironic, because that same government of these United States of America, when I was in the third grade, there was a program called DARE, which was against drugs. And it said marijuana was a gateway drug. And it said marijuana is going to adversely affect your motivation. It's going to adversely affect your memory. It's going to adversely affect your development from child to adult. And these are all factual, but all of a sudden when they need to tax it, your government's become a drug dealer. Surprise, surprise. We also have massive debt in the United States of America. So it's a new revenue source. When I was a young boy, maybe that's when the government was finally balancing the budget. Come on now. But when they need money, they start selling drugs, just like a nigga off the streets. So I say all that to say, who can you trust? You can't trust your government. They tell you that a recreational drug, which will hurt your development and your motivation, is okay. And then they adversely impact the culture. And then you stoners at home who know it's bad, you make an excuse because you're too weak to kick the habit. You're too weak. That's all it is. You'd rather say marijuana is good than say that I have a bad, low level of willpower, that I don't feel happy on a regular basis, and I use the mota, the ganja, to make me feel better so that I'm not bouncing off the walls. I don't want to deal with my own emotions. I don't want to deal with my own reality. So then you attack me. Do you hate me? No. As I've said before, no one hates me. You hate yourself. You hear me? No, you don't hate me. You hate yourself. That's all that is. So when I'm telling you youngsters out there, and you mature men as well, because you've had the wool pulled over your eyes, is that when you hear people saying things, you have to first look at, well, from what position do they say it? From what position do they say it? Do they say it as one of the guilty parties? Come on now. And look at this. Look at this. We got another one. Honestly, I don't think weed is bad. I don't know the scientific dangers of it. Maybe memory loss. It's like, come on, bro. You got to be better than that. You got to be better than that. Let's all play a game. Who thinks James has smoked weed before in his life? I do. Let's play a game. You will never see anyone arguing vehemently in favor of weed and against sobriety who's not a stoner and has never been a stoner. Just doesn't exist. Come on now. We all know weed's bad. Let's be real here. Let's be real here. Anyways, may I acknowledge? Shout out to Khalif, writes, peace to the Saints. I need to heart this. Shout out to the North Carolina Saints. Yes, indeed. Shout out to the Saints all over the world, all over the South, all over the Eastern Seaboard. Shout out to Mr. Buck, always supporting the work. Chuckles writes, how do I jump into a career without prior experience or a degree? Should I invest in taking community college? I'm in my early 20s, or is there a better way? Well, first figure out which career. That will define the path. Some careers require a degree or licensure. Some degrees do not, or some pursuits do not. So find out what you want to do. That's number one. To be honest with you, Chuckles, I recommend to you Boston University. All of you who might be like really hazy, Boston University is something that's going to sharpen you up and allow you to self-examine, and through that introspection, figure out, well, what makes sense for me? Speaking in generality, imprecision, it just shows that you're kind of not rightly guided right now. So you need something to sharpen you up and figure out what your unique talents are and how you can apply that to the marketplace so you can get paid. So you can't answer any of these questions until you know what you want to do. For example, if you want to become a mortician, you're probably going to need some licensure. You want to become a software developer, you don't need a license. You just need the skills. Gentleman writes, we can be hard on people who misspell Marquett. Can we be hard on people? No, we don't have to be hard. We just have to correct them. And truth be told, we must suffer fools gladly. And you'll be seeing a better example of that in me, because I am going for a rebrand so that the smooth brains, so that the low IQ, low EQ people find me more palatable, so we can stage our takeover much more quickly. Shout out to Tyrone. Roni writes, cocky humor and disagreements with abrasive managers over low morale gets me fired. Makes sense. First week of job shocks my nervous system. Want to start jewelry business. How can I market besides social media? Well, first, it depends on if you have good product. So I would first figure out, do I have good product? And as I teach in my course, you can go to school.com/Marquett/ I think maybe courses or course, who knows? Somebody dropped the link for the product-based business course. You don't start a business, you start a product, one product. So the question is, do you have good product? That's number one. The good thing about jewelry is it has great profit margins. I acknowledge Ernest writes, had to support again. Appreciate you. And shout out to the folks who are sitting back, haven't clicked the like and haven't supported at all. Use a dirt bag. Don't be a dirt bag. The likes are free. Jesus paid for it. And one thing I often remind you of, and I really mean it, is if you can do something good for someone else and it costs you nothing, always do it. because you'll get back favor. It's an investment in yourself, really. Anyway, shout out to Splash, writes, paying tuition, peace to the saints. May I also acknowledge No Vice City, writes, I'm developing a digital course teaching my expertise in getting into IT. Any quick tips on getting it done? Production tips, etc. Well, I don't think production is the key. I think the quality of the information, covering the right topics, and being able to document success is the most important thing in getting the course sold. So the quality of the filming, that's not the focus. The quality of the content and it converting to what people are actually looking for, which is gainful employment, that's critical. So if I were you, I would ask myself, do I have any actual evidence of the 6-month employment rate of those who have engaged my content? Shout to Mohammed, writes, Saint, what's the real difference between someone who makes it and someone who dies with good ideas? Well, I would guess their quality of life when they're alive is my guess. Ideas mean nothing at all. They're completely and utterly worthless. So if you made it, you'll probably know it. But at the end of the day, it's the quality of your life. And what you're describing are two opposite types of persons. They may be of similar levels of intelligence, but their levels of action are radically different. The person who makes it is the one that was oriented on action. You know, someone who's not very bright, but they're willing to engage trial and error is going to be much more successful than the person that's highly intelligent, but lives in ideas instead of the real world, putting the foot to the paddle. Shout out to Mr. Chumley, writes, peace of the saints. Thank you for this live, Mr. Burton. You are 100% right when you say liberalism is demonic or conservatism means nothing today. It's only this Marquettism, and it has only benefited me. I found the recipes and will be trying them soon. Yeah, and you'll enjoy. And we'd all be blessed to have a good woman around us to keep us well nourished. Shout out to Quad, writes, peace of the saints. Good to see you again. And Quad is someone who has a phenomenal product. You can check it out at thesassin.com. That's THESASN.com. Shout out to Dallas, writes, peace of the saints, tuition. Dallas Watson, good to see you again. I just had the pleasure of, I think it was on my birthday, Dallas came by and, broke bread with myself and the Lady Saints. It was a beautiful moment. Shout out to Andre, writes, tuition, the leather bag was looking righteous on IG. Today is a beautiful day. Saying, yes, and you know what? I hope you screenshotted it, like take the screen grab and use that for your promotion. That's guerrilla marketing. That's what you got to do, to make your ends. And I encourage everyone, man, to go that extra mile, to do what other people won't do. That's the key right there. Do what other people won't do to get the money that they can't get. Abram comes in by Venmo. He writes, I told my main girl I'm talking to others. She wasn't happy, but stayed. Now she tries to get me to drop them, but I dodge it. Problem is, she told her friends and sisters, and they don't like me. Well, see, you already should have had that sealed up because she should have been gamed up off rip. Whether you were monogamous or polygynous, you already should have told her, you complain upward. Those are your peers. You got a complaint, take it up to the boss. That's number one. So you already should have laid that down. Those are basic structures. If you're a member, I highly recommend that you go back to my covenants. So I have a document that gives the covenants, which is basically saying all of the things that a woman should agree to as you go into a serious relationship. And that is one of them. Speaking ill of the family, outside of the family. Oh, that is a real sin. And so she's definitely poisoned the well. He writes, I'm worried they'll eventually convince her to leave. What should I do? Well, don't worry, man. What's going to happen is going to happen. So don't waste time worrying. Take action on what you can take action on. And the best thing you can do right now is let her know that, that cannot happen again. That is inappropriate. And don't count on her friends and family changing their mind about you. It won't happen. So, you're dealing with dingbats. And at the end of the day, you should be asking her, like, hey, how do you have such hatred that you would disrespect me? Because that's really what she did. You disrespect me. I thought you loved me. I thought you were about me. That's crazy. Don't ever do that again in your life. And you having fear of her leaving, you already screwed up. You hear me? That's the whole point of being a real boss. You don't need to fear a damn thing. You dig? Like, listen, man, if one of these hating psychopaths bust in right now and started yak, I definitely reach for the ooh-op and try to take them out and do God's work. But if I didn't, man, who cares? Who cares? Every single day I've been on earth, I gave it everything I could give, man. Whatever energy I had, whatever I could do to move things forward for myself, I did it. When I'm out of here, I'm out of here. You know, when the chips are down, the chips are down. I'm not going to think back on when they were up. It is what it is. That's when you need to apply emotional intelligence and stoicism. Sometimes you lose abroad. Sometimes you gain abroad. That's the game. You hear me? Some of these chicks come in the front door searching for the back door. That's what it is. But you're a real sucker if you're worried about losing abroad. Let me give you a promise. You're going to lose the broad. There you go. Now, do you feel better? Because you know that's a certainty, huh? As P say, man, the broad that I need is the one that I don't have. You hear me? You already got the broad. Now you're worrying about, hold on to her. You'll never be happy, my boy. And that's what I teach you guys is live in the present, immerse yourself in the present. When you're living in what could be, which is that's fantasy. That's what you're dreaming up. When you're living in that, you can never be happy because you're living in anxiety. This hasn't even occurred and you worried about it. Come on, man, please stop it. And here's the other thing, man. Either she's yours or she's not yours. You heard me? She's yours or she's not. That's all there is. Anyways, shout out to Mr. Chapman with the baller alert. He writes, where do you get stuck? I get stuck trying to lead people who should be ahead of me in life and business. One thing I will say is that it's always good to lead those who want to be led by you if they're good people. That's one pro tip. He writes, I've been urged by my superiors to take over my department. However, the person who is with me is 20 years my senior in the business and almost 30 years older than me. It'd be like that. Hopefully they respect you because often they'll be a little bit jelly and sore about that predicament. I pick up the slack for him constantly. Oh, I hope you're getting compensated for that. I believe this will work out for me in the long term, but how do I shake the trepidation on truly positioning myself as his leader based on my performance and talent? Well, that's really important. 3 Cents Bible, be yourself, be good to yourself, be good to good people. Now, let me tell you this. I had to get accustomed to what you're describing very early in life. I'll never forget, I was age 25 walking into my office in Merchandise Mart in Chicago, Illinois, a place where I had first moved into. I was very poor, literally. I was living in Southside. I was impoverished. My car even got repoed. True story. I was on getting up in the morning to go to meet a multimillionaire to get an investment. Couldn't find my car. And I thought it got stolen, but it actually had gotten repoed. I had to take the train for the first time ever. Took the train, got there on time because I woke up so early because I was so nervous and ambitious about it. And so fortunately, I had plenty of time. So I took the train and went in there and did really well in the meeting because I had no choice. But then I got an office in Merchandise Mart, which is the largest building in the United States by square footage, not by height. And when I would go into Merchandise Mart, there's a doorman at the front. There's an older black man, and he'd open the door and, hey, how are you, sir? And then eventually we became more familiar. Hey, Mr. Burton, how are you? And there was a time that I had a word with 2 of these persons, right? So I was raised by Southerners, and, my grandmother had a strong influence, and women tend to say foolish things that you shouldn't follow. They want you to be egalitarian, even though hierarchy is real. I say to one of them, I was like, hey, you don't have to call me Mr. Burton. Now, mind you, I'm 25, bro, like 50, 60 years old. You don't have to call me Mr. Burton. He was like, yes, I do. I said, no, you don't. He was like, no, I'm not saying it because it's my job. No, it's my pleasure to call you Mr. Burton. I'll tell you why. You're the only black man who has an office in here. So every day, oh, yes, sir, Mr. Smith. Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson. Now, all these white men, you're the only black man who comes through here that has an office in here. So it is my pleasure to call you Mr. Burton. You represent all of us. Do you notice when you go in here, everyone else black is cleaning up? So it's just it's the staff that works in the restaurants. It's the custodial staff. It's me at the front door. It's the security. You are Mr. Burton for all of us. Had to respect it, had to listen to that man. And this is no disrespect to anyone white or any of the white men who have offices or even the white women who had offices. But he was saying, you are that. Are you no different from them? They're running businesses. Aren't you running a business? You're Mr. Burton. You came in here to your office as a CEO just like they did. You're Mr. Burton. And he didn't say this, but hey, at the end of the day, I'm working the door. I'm the doorman. So to me, you are Mr. Burton while being half of my age. Another guy I had that same conversation with. And they let me know you mean something. Now, how silly is it when to them you're Mr. Burton, but to yourself you're not Mr. Burton? I'm going to repeat that for you. How silly are you? How much self-respect do you lack when to them you're Mr. Burton, but to you you're not Mr. Burton? Come on, man. You got to have the goods, and you got to know that you have the goods, and you got to deliver the goods. There's some people who stop developing by choice. There are some people who just don't have it in them to go above a certain level. But if you are a great leader, it will be a privilege for someone to be under you. It will be a privilege for someone to follow you. It will be a privilege for someone to learn your way. If you are a great leader, you will enhance things for those under you. If you are a great leader, it is a privilege for them to be under you. Come on now. Come on, man. Come on. Yeah. And let me tell you something, man, we're all behind. How about that? We are all behind. I never meet any of the saints and say, you're not smart enough to be where you are. I meet you and I say, you're too smart to be where you are. You need to move forward. I'm too smart to be where I am. I need to be in a castle somewhere. We're all behind. They want to promote you, man. Ask for a bigger promotion. Ask for more money. And then do the job that you're paid to do. Come on, man. Yeah. Okay, I see. Ivan is here. Give me a second. Peace to the saints, bro. You ain't got to wait for the live to end, man. Pull up. You won't even be on camera. I don't know which of my driveways you came up, but if you're at the main house, let me know. I'll get the door open. If you're at the flex space, just come in. I'm gonna go open the door. Give me a second. Some of the saints are here. Send in your comments, questions. We're winding down. Peace to the saints. Yo, come on in. I'm gonna leave the door open. Okay, let me see what questions you got. Peace to the saints. How you feel? Oh man, I like that short set, my boy. Yeah, that's cool. Somebody else is coming in that's pulling up. Fantastic. Let me go ahead and wind down. May I acknowledge, shout out to Zoe supporting the work. Shout out to Novi City. Oh, I already acknowledged. Shout out to Eric. I also acknowledge Novi City came back here. Regarding the digital course, it would be my first entrepreneurial attempt. I see. No testimonials to provide. How would you get past this at the start? You would probably want to give it out for free and then get some feedback. And you should be strategic about who you give it to. Give it out to. Who you give it out to for free. Give it to someone who has network, meaning once they succeed, they can give it to other people who will benefit from it, right? Meaning they do it, they find success, they rave about it, and as a result, you can sell to their friends. Shout out to Chuckles writes, are you in need of employees currently? No, and frankly, that's not a good offer. And I want you to think about it this way. It's all about adding value. So you have to ask yourself, well, how does this man make his money? Can I help him make money or can I save him money? And once you identify how the man makes money, you should think about what specialized skill set do I have that I can bring to his business? So as opposed to talking about employees, like from a generalist perspective, you should be able to say, you know, hey, I know you do X, Y, and Z. I know that you're in the video space and maybe you need a videographer. I'm an excellent videographer and I have my own equipment or fill in the blank. And I'd like to add that value. Hey there. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So that would be a smart thing to do. It'll position you better because at the end of the day, you're under a screen name. I don't really know anything about you. I don't know your skill set. I don't know your name. So it'd be hard to say, yes, I need an employee. And I want everyone to think strategically about, am I really trying to win, or am I just talking and bullshit? Because a lot of times people are just talking and BS and they're not really trying to win. So think about how your approach is going to be received and position it so that it's received in the very best way. Do any of you guys have tools? No. Fair enough. Okay. All right. Fantastic. I think Aaron Blow is, I didn't mean to say my boy's full government, but I think Aaron is going to pull up as well. Okay, Aaron's a bad man, bro. I was hoping Aaron would pull up, man. He gonna break that down like that's nothing, man. Yeah, I got to get that speed bag down, though. That's the tough one, is getting that speed bag down. Right. Nah, I'm glad you're here. We definitely got some heavy lifting for you. Shout out to Mohammed. He writes, how do I consume the ism properly so it doesn't just become motivation, but gets absorbed into how I move every day? I think the courses are the best way, just because it's organized information. If you say, oh, I'm just going to go through Marquett's catalog, you might get one video on self-improvement, one video on spirituality, one video on business, and then it's like you're kind of jumping around. What I would do if I were you is I'd say, which course of study is going to be necessary for where I'm trying to go right now, and I would hyper focus on that. For me, the starting point is always Boston University. So I would take Boston University if you haven't already. If you have, then I'd probably hit the Master Communicator course. If you have a particular interest in software, then I would consider the How to Create and Monetize Your Own App course. That was not a course I made for the public. That's a course I made specifically for people who want to be 100 millionaires, billionaires, because software is how you do it. When you look at the people who really have bread, they're all software people. We're talking Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, whomever else you can think of. That's where the enormous sums of money are. And I made that for people who really want to live it on that level. Shout out to Bassem with the bowler alert. He writes, I have a startup idea for a boutique Uber-style dental van for whitening cleanings in New York City. This is particularly, I like New York City as a market for anything because they have high concentration of population, and that just makes it easy to sell. Cairo, Egypt is the same. Here's the current issue is it requires association with a physical office. Well, that may be problematic, but it sounds like it's just a networking issue. How would you recommend getting an office? I wouldn't recommend getting an office. I'd recommend getting a partnership. He says to take me serious. Oh, there you go. To take me seriously for getting a partnership. Okay, bro, you're sharp. I like that. Well, it's usually just a volume game. There's always someone that's going to work with you. You might be Armenian and you might call up 100 people. One person says, your name is Shanlian? Are you Armenian? You're like, yeah. He's like, all right, bro, man, it's nothing. Come on down. I bet we have some like common family members. So it's a volume game. Call 100 people. You call the first 20, you're going to figure out, oh, maybe I'm saying the wrong thing. You fix your sales pitch. Call the next 20 people. Modify something. Someone's going to bite, especially if what you're trying to do makes sense. If what you're doing makes no sense, no one's going to bite, and that'll let you know that what you're doing is not profitable. But if you're doing something that's not going to require any additional work of them and it's going to bring them in more money, why wouldn't they agree, right? Come on now. At the end of the day, a lot of this stuff is not about what you can think through. It's about what you can do. When you're in motion, it's the mistakes, the missteps that are going to lead you to the correct path. You're not going to think your way out of the situation. I don't care how smart you are. I want to remind every single one of you, when I talk about product-based business, I tell you, you're not going to think of an idea. You're going to experience an idea. You don't think of ideas, you experience ideas, okay? That's the key. You experience a lack or a problem in your life and you say, oh, I can create a solution to this. You're not going to think your way into success in the marketplace. Thank you for that question. May I acknowledge, shout out to Heels In supporting the work. He always comes in on these kind of topics. Shout out to Travis. He writes, thank you for going live today despite your busy schedule. Extraordinarily busy. You better believe it. Eating dinner with the family, but I'm excited to watch after. Absolutely. Family time is critical. Shout out to Mark. Writes, Peace of Saints. First tuition. Can't wait to go on the drip trip. Oh, you're going to have a good time. I promise you that. In fact, this jacket I was just wearing was made on the drip trip. Shout out to Preston. Writes, tuition for the live. And Preston and Brandon been making mad cake because this watch has been selling like crazy. And even though it's on mdblabel.com, money does not go to me, it goes to them, and they are doing really well. I don't know what they're doing, but these watches are flying off the shelf. I don't even know if they have any of them left. No clue. Shout out to Omari supporting the work. He writes, tuition for the live. Appreciate you. Shout out to the real ones. Yes, indeed. They've been making a killing on this watch. You would think someone like me be smart enough to sell it myself instead of hand over all the revenue to somebody else. I must be a good guy. I must be what you might call a saint. I must be. I must be. I personally don't know anybody that would hand over revenue that could be their own to someone else. Shout out to Randy. He just got the Saint in the Center black denim. Super cold. Super duper cold. May I also acknowledge via super chat. Shout out to Chris. He writes, oh, he doesn't write a thing, just came in supporting the work. Shout out to Chris. And Chris is the executive over there in SoCal doing some phenomenal work. I forget who I was talking to recently, and they said they had reached out to Chris to get some tips. And that lets you know that you're really doing something. When people reach out to you and ask for advice or guidance, that lets you know that you are doing something correctly. Huh? Yes, indeed. I think we are all caught up here. Ladies and saints, it's been truly a pleasure to have this time to fellowship with you all. Let us end this with our tradition, the Creed of the Assassin. Repeat after me with full conviction, knowing this is true of you, the Creed of the Assassin. I'm going to be who I truly am because I'm remarkable. I'm going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am. Until next time, peace to the saints.